Hey, this is Pat, and today we are checking out the all-new Fox Racing Bomber Pro and Air gloves. Now, the Bomber Pro and Air, I have the Air on my hand, and the Bomber is over here on the left, but also I have a second one here just to show it off, are going to be some heavy-duty ADV gloves from Fox, carrying the Bomber name, which is always a knuckle-reinforced, more off-road oriented glove. But what they're aiming at here is to match with their ADV line that they just launched, giving you some street protection in full leather with a little bit of mesh on the Air version, but full leather on the Pro version, but just a little bit more knuckle reinforcement than we typically see from, say, like the Stealth Bombers, which use just D3O and are more of an off-road glove. These are something that you can easily do ADV touring. You can easily ride ADV for thousands of miles and then get to the trails and be just as protected. So I like where Fox is going with the Bomber line. I think they're doing a lot of improvements and a lot of key features. One thing I will say, just common theme across the entire board, the Air on my hand and the Pro version are very similar in their seasonality. This is going to be more for warmer weather riding out there. Obviously the Air, utilizing mesh throughout, will be for hotter climates, but you still get perforated leather throughout the entire Pro version. So if Fox, if you're listening, I would have loved to see maybe a little bit more differentiation, like an Air version and then maybe a waterproof version, because the Stealths are already wind blockers, so you'd have kind of all three categories covered, but just a little bit of confusion in there, but I'll make sure to go through each one and kind of tell you which one has which features throughout the entire line. Otherwise, they're going to be the same cut, they're going to be mostly the same materials throughout. Let's start about pricing. We got $165 for the Pro version, $145 for the Air version as at the time that we're shooting this video. It is two colorways in each option. I do like the sand colorway in the Air. I think it's probably the best one of the four across both ranges. And then it's small to 3 extra large in its overall sizing. Now, quick note about sizing. I wear a large in every single glove that I go out and test ride and wear in my day-to-day. I measure about 8.75 inches. Large usually fits me just fine. This is a very tight, large out of Fox. And I think it has more to do with the single TPU knuckle across the back that doesn't allow it to stretch all that much. So if you are, measuring your hand, referencing the size chart, stick with your size. But if you are between sizes, I would definitely say going up, because they do fit about a half size small. So I don't think you're going to be able to fit into the lower one. You'll just have to go up from there. If you are in, even if you're in like the lower range of a size, or I'm sorry, the upper range of a size, you might want to consider going up if you like a comfortable glove fitting in right out of the box. The goat leather throughout these will break in, but it's going to take a lot of time to get to that point and a lot of work, especially across the knuckle. That part won't break in. Let's start up at the top, work our way down. I'll try to do my best on showing the features between the two as they have differentiation, but they're both going to use a single cuff Velcro design. Nice, and it's like a mid-cuff design. It's not really a true short. It does come up and cover the Ona a little bit on there, so I'll call that a mid-cuff design. A little bit of leather throughout with some perforated goat leather, and then the Superfabric out on the outer Ona on the Air versions as well as the regular versions. On the regular versions, you just get a little bit more leather throughout. There's not going to be any mesh peeking through up at the top. That's where you get a perforated leather on top of there. From there, you do have a popper reflected behind the knuckle and a single TPU knuckle up at the top, really bulky. I like it. It's going to be beefy if you do get into an accident or you just need to punch somebody. You do have that option for full knuckle protection. It's got some foam underneath to make it all day comfortable, but I'd say just like, again, I would love to see D3O like they use on the Stealth Bombers, just something a little bit more malleable for anybody out there really riding off-road, really wanting to move their fingers as much as possible or their hand and activate the throttle. It's going to be something that's going to be the hindering point throughout. But it is going to be surrounded with double stitching all the way around and that goat leather on both versions. It's just perforated on the Air version where it's not perforated on the regular version. All of them get the accordion stretch at the base of the fingers. A little bit easier, especially for the trigger fingers, making it a little bit easier to be malleable and move around. Perforated leather and mesh on the Air version, just regular goat leather running down, but a little bit of TPR at the mid-finger knuckles just to give you some added protection. Now, the Air version does have some ripstop stretch on the inside of the fourchettes where it's just leather on the Pro version. Flipping over to the palm side on here, this is where we're going to see another big differentiator. It is full perforated goat leather all the way across the palm except for the reinforcement panels, but you do get a lot of airflow to the grips, which is funny because you still get airflow on perforation running up the fingertips on the Pro version. You just don't get the rest of the perforation throughout on there. But they're both going to have an extra layer of goat leather at the palm for reinforcement with foam underneath. If you're anybody like myself who builds up a lot of calluses from riding off-road so much, that's going to be a nice little treat treat on there just to help protect your hands a little bit better. And you can see the extra piece of leather going up the crook of the thumb, but even this extra swath of leather on the inside, just in case you are gripping heavier up against your bars, you're not using grip pads or anything like that. That's going to be a nice wear zone that they reinforce and protected on the gloves. I mentioned it at the Ona that they do use Superfabric. They are using that at the palm landing zone. If you do go down, that's going to help it slide a little bit easier. You actually want it to slide more. You don't want it to catch, because catching could break your wrist in the event of all your weight going forward in front of it. So you want to have that extra slide. And I like that they took that leather and extended it up the side outer seam of the gloves, just to give a little bit of outer seam protection. Again, a vulnerable area in the event of an accident, so you want to make sure that that's protected. Fox did a good job. They could have extended it up the outer finger a little bit more, but again, that makes it a little bit bulkier with the extra material, especially for your smallest finger and the weakest finger. You want to make sure that's protected, but I like that they kind of stopped it right at the base there, just to give a little bit of outer seam protection without going overboard. But all in, a pretty decent design. It is touch tech, index and thumb on both versions, so you can pinch and zoom on a GPS, on your phone, whatever you're trying to do on the side of the trail, you do have the opportunity to do that there. But there you have, this is the Air version. I have the Pro version right here as well. Very awesome gloves, especially for the price point. Again, Fox, if you're listening, would have loved to see maybe a little bit more differentiation in the weather. I could easily see the Pro being something that someone wears in the summer months. I could easily see the Air being something in the summer months. So giving a little bit of differentiation between the two would have been nice, and maybe a softer knuckle up top. Otherwise though, Superfabric, lots of goat leather, mesh on this version, good reflective, a good cuff, all in a solid glove for those ADV riders out there. But if you have any other questions on these gloves, click the info button. That's going to take you over to the product pages where you can read other rider reviews. Don't just take my word for it. Do your own research and figure out if it's right for you and your riding style. If you still have questions after that, if you are confused on the sizing, since they do fit a half size small, give our customer service team a call. They're all riders, happy to help you get set up on your next ride. I want to thank you for joining me and checking out the all-new Fox Racing Bomber Pro and Bomber Air gloves. I'm Pat. I'll see you in the next video.